Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Mom Project's Masterclass, Equality at Home and the Role Fathers Play. My name is Elizabeth, and I am here today with father, uncle, brother, son, and husband, Michael Perry. Michael is the founder and CEO of Maple, and a family tech startup looking to ease the burden of parenting and freeing up families to spend more quality time together. Today, we're going to talk to Michael about his personal and professional journey, hear Michael's advice on creating a more equal partnership at home, and much, much more. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a huge honor to get to be here with you today, and the entire team is super excited that we get to share a stage together.
Well, and we are so excited also because Maple has gifted our TMP community 30 complimentary days of Maple Plus, their premium subscription. You can find the app in the App Store and use the code TMP30, and then we'll also pop those details into the chat. I have been using Maple for the past 2 weeks, and it's amazing. I cannot stress enough how incredibly integrated it is, from the party planning to the meal planning to Instacart to the weather to my calendar. It's incredible. So enjoy, and you can jumpstart your summer organization or lack
Yes,
thereof in my
summer.
case.
I don't know if it's surviving summer or
Yeah.
thriving, but thank you for saying that it's been helpful. We're really proud of what we built. We actually have some incredible improvements coming to the app in the next 60 and 90 days.
Oh,
So um, big things before we get back to school. Things to help you survive the summer, but big things coming for fall ahead.
okay. That's great. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and just before we start, a few housekeeping notes. This is recorded, so it will be available here on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And then we will have time for a Q&A at the end. So add any questions that you may have for Michael into the comments, and we'll get to those at the end. I feel like it's going to be a very lively conversation, so let's dive in.
Let's do it. My mom has begged me, and I've promised there'll be no F words today. So if she's watching, I'm going to hold up to my end of the deal today.
Well, my fingers are crossed, but don't, if it
Okay.
happens. Well, we like to kind of get these started with a quick round of get to know you.
Okay.
So are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, I'm an early bird for sure.
Same, me too. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think as the years gone on and my kids I'm just like, yeah, it's the earlier the better. Um,
Yeah.
Best book you've read recently?
Recently, the best book that I've read, and I thought that it was really, I actually think it's a great book for working parents, but I think it's a great book for people kind of if you're in the similar age bracket that I'm in. But it was the 4,000 Weeks. It's Time Management for Mortals. And I don't know if you've read this book or not,
Mm.
but I strongly encourage everyone to give it a quick read, and I think it will help kind of readjust your lens of life at this stage of the game.
Okay, thank you. That's a great recommendation.
Mm.
Your best productivity hack?
Deleting Instagram.
That's brave. I run social here at TMP, so I don't think that'll be in my future, but it's always one of
No,
those things that I'm like, if I find a moment, maybe
you
that's a
know,
I can do.
I think it's so important when we can to try to just remove the interference of life. I think we spend so much time looking at Instagram and being inspired by the way others live that we
Mhm.
oftentimes miss the opportunity to enjoy what we have. So I deleted Instagram in December, and I don't have any intentions of going back.
I love it. I think about what a time suck it is.
Huge.
Um, what are you most looking forward to this summer?
Oh, being present with my children, for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
love it.
you know, we were chatting earlier. My son's 5. My eldest is 5, and I feel like we're now at that place where he's very excited to see his friends almost more than he's excited to see me. And so I think the summers are starting to become more precious. So just being
Mm.
together for sure is my priority this summer.
Yeah, and I think too as the kids get older, mine's 4 this year, and we have lots of, activities, and I'm like, "It's so fun." It's like a summer it feels more summerish,
Yeah,
there's something about it where the older they get, she comes home from school at 2:30 and kinda hangs out with me while I get things done, and I don't know, there's just something about summer that as your kids get older, it kind of becomes, different and special
yeah,
special in a different way.
yeah, absolutely.
So I gave a very brief intro, but I'd love to hear more about you from you. So can you tell us more about your journey that led you to where you are today?
Yeah. Well, currently I'm living in Santa Barbara, California, but I was born in the Bay Area. I was born to a very hardworking couple that I think from a very early on part of my journey on Earth put a tremendous amount of emphasis on family and the importance of love and caring for one another. Which I think, in hindsight, it's weird that that feels like that should be obvious, but I don't think that's taught enough to our children today. That family is the only priority in life. Um, Everything else can kind of come and go, but family should be in that first slot forever. And I started working for my family businesses when I was 8, and that journey put me on a path to wanting to be an entrepreneur myself. And really, at that time, I've always found that the best entrepreneurs, and for that matter, the best, I think, people find a group that they want to provide servitude towards. And as I became a young man in my teenage years, I fell in love with software and decided that I wanted to be a software entrepreneur that built technology for small business owners. And I built that company. I failed more times than I would like to admit, but built a company up that I sold in 2016 and went and worked at Shopify for 4.5 years to kind of continue that servitude to help small business owners. But along the way, became a father and realized that my feeling towards entrepreneurship was feeling less authentic. That I wanted to be more mission oriented to helping people with their life's work. That I saw a gaping huge hole that no one was kind of prioritizing and filling. And then as the journey has gone on, feel like Maple is more of a social company than a technology company these days. But left my post at Shopify to kind of just go full force on trying to help parents make lives easier.
And you certainly
That's a little
do.
TLDR.
Well, and so I guess MAPLE stands for Making All Parents' Lives Easier.
Yes.
So talk to us about the why kind of behind MAPLE and what inspired you to really kind of go and help other parents kind of, ease the burden in their day-to-day lives.
Well, I think that, you're a mom. I think that you never have to explain to another parent the love they have for their child. Like it's just such a unique, beautiful feeling. Before having children, you oftentimes hear parents say, this is the hardest job I'll ever have, but it's the most
Mhm.
purposeful work I'll ever do. And I didn't really relate to that until I became a father. And I really do feel at the time that my first son was born, having a lot of success as a man in his 20s and 30s, you kind of lose your identity a bit about what are you doing here on earth, you
Mhm.
know? And once I had a son, I felt so grounded in what my purpose was on this planet. It really, at the end of the day, my purpose is not to be an entrepreneur. My purpose is to be a part of a family and make sure that they are alive and well. My purpose is to be a part of a species that I help keep alive and well. And um, I just don't believe that it's fair. I deeply do not believe that it's fair that every single job on this planet has gotten substantially easier, has gotten substantially more efficient, has become supported at the highest degree, and innovated around at the highest degree. But for some reason, we chose to ignore parenting and bucket the workload of parenting as a consumer experience. And so I just kind of, as a young father and struggling at home with my own relationship of finding the right balance and the right participation rate,
Mhm.
um, decided to kind of take matters into my own hands and feel very fortunate that a great group of people have joined me on this journey and a great community of people have supported it.
Absolutely. Good. That's
You
I
know?
like it really does. I think the integration makes everything so much easier, and I think you've thought of so many things that make it just seamless. Whereas I think before, and no, there was nothing to guide you. I mean, it was like, okay, I'll create a calendar here. Let's put a whiteboard
Yeah,
up in the fridge. Let's,
yeah,
and it was like this myriad of things that you're just hoping kind of the brainwaves cross and the two people figure it out.
yeah.
Really, it takes
But
some,
it's never the two people to figure it out. I
yeah,
think the problem is that we have historically used all these fragmented tools.
yes,
It doesn't bring like Maple's tagline is like we know that we help parents keep it together, but we also bring families together. And I think that that's a really important piece that oftentimes goes unspoken in our own marketing material is that families are closer together with Maple. And it doesn't have to be Maple. It could be anything. I just think that this idea that one person should be carrying the load One person should be figuring things out. One person should have the app living on just their phone. Um, or one person should be managing that calendar. That just doesn't seem right. And I just am a big believer that we have used software to allow for people to work asynchronously. We have
Mhm.
allowed software to help people build companies globally. It's amazing that you can build it. It's easier to build a global company than it is to build harmony at home. And so like that should not be the case. We shouldn't have software to make telecommunication better than talking to your spouse.
Right.
And so we're just all in, and we're in our, Maple today is going to look terrible 10 years from now. We're really proud of the product that we put in the market today. But more importantly, we're really proud of the people at home that are working really hard on their relationships to
Yeah.
improve their participation. And whether that's Maple or another product, we just want to build happier homes. We want to create more harmonious homes.
And I'd be interested to know what are like the pain points or, the things that you hear most from parents in the Maple community or not, about managing a household.
Well, I think that the one thing that often goes unspoken is there's two things that are really required, I think, to run an efficient household. And oddly enough, both of them are skill sets that just aren't natural, right? Most people struggle with interpersonal relationships and communication. Most people struggle at work with communication, right? So, like, we like to compartmentalize and think that,
Mhm.
oh, because I'm home, it should all be easily and happening easy and coming together. It's like
Yeah.
working relationships are really tough. Sometimes you work with a colleague that you guys might have been friends at a bar 10 years ago, but you may not work well together. So I think that the one thing that we hear resoundingly is that when you're a pair or a couple, you're not operating like a company, right? You're like two people, you're two freelancers living under one roof,
Yeah.
right? Then all of a sudden you have this company because you have this product, which is a child, and you really struggle with the communication component of running a business. So that's one. The second thing is that, like, there is a reason why people go and get trained on agile methodologies, or people hire executive assistants, or like, being organized is a skill set.
Yeah,
Most
absolutely
people do
is.
not have the skills to be organized, right? And so I think that the root problem that we have unpackaged and that we continue to really work hard at is that organization is a challenge for everybody. And I'd like to think that Maple and technology as a whole, I don't want to just keep plugging Maple because that doesn't seem fair or right, but there's technology solutions that can really assist, and there should be no shame in bringing technology in your home to assist with the organization component. The
Mhm.
second piece is that when you get organized and you create exposure, it's easier to have a conversation when something's on paper, right? Frustration is
Yes.
built up because we fill the white spaces in our mind with very angry thoughts. And so I oftentimes think that people get frustrated with their partner if they are fortunate enough to have a co-parent. There's a lot of people trying to do it on their own, which is a challenge, and God bless them. Is that they think there's always this, we say at Maple, assumptions are a dangerous thing. We like to try to prove everything with data. There's a lot of assumptions made that people just get it, and really they don't. You have to over index on communication.
Yes, absolutely. We say at the Mom Project too, like, we have to just assume the best. Like, just don't assume the worst. You have to assume that they're coming to you with the best of intentions, which is a really helpful reframe, I think, in work and at home. So many things at home,
Yes.
it's rushed, and we're doing too many things. And sometimes it become like your ship's passing in the night, trying to just juggle too many things. Who's taking who's there. And like, it's just the summer shuffle, especially. I feel like my husband and I sit down every night and we're like, okay, what's your schedule look like in the morning? Who's taking Charlie? It's just,
Yeah.
it's
I
constant.
think it's constant, and I tell people all the time, like, my wife is my co-founder. We're partners on earth. We're partners in what we do. We're partners on raising children. She's a silent partner of Maple. She's given more product feedback on Maple than any person on earth, for better or worse. I don't know yet, but she's given a lot. She certainly likes to work her priority list up of things that need to get fixed. But, like, I could never imagine with my business partner. We've been business partners for almost 20 years. I could never imagine not communicating with him on a daily basis. Maple would dissolve, right? So if we put all this energy and all this effort in communicating with other stakeholders of our life,
Yes.
why are we not checking in and making the same communication effort with our co-founders of our life?
Mhm. Well, and it's so easy, I think, when
right?
you're giving it to everybody and you're giving everyone your ample attention all day long. By the end of the day, you're like tapped. And I think
Right.
and that's something too that I think you have to backpedal and look at. And you're like, why are they getting this energy and they're not? It's hard. It's hard to balance it. And I think it's always a learning curve. But the more you keep it front of mind and the more you like just try to make an active effort to reevaluate your energy and where it goes during the day is what I've,
I
been trying.
mean, I mean, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but I came to this realization 1 year ago that my family gets the worst version of me. That was the hardest truth, right? I
Mhm.
get up in the morning, I go to work, I give my team 110%. I give my partners 110. Get on a plane, investors, dinner meetings. You go through a Rolodex and call any person that's worked with me for 20 years. They may have mixed reviews on me, but they'll tell you he's giving 110%. But then you come home and you're too tired to give your family 110%.
Mhm.
But why? Those people that I'm giving 110% to, there's a 0% chance they're showing up at my funeral. They don't give a shit about me. My wife loves me with all her heart. My children cherish me like I'm the most important person in the universe. Like, like the simple question I think every single person should be asking themselves to better their life at home is why am I caring about other people outside of these four walls? No, no, dead serious. I actually think
No, I know, I'm just
every,
taking it because I have no rebuttal, I'm just like, "Yep, you're so right." I think too, also, I think we talk about it a lot at the Mom Project about just, like, balance, and when you become a parent, like, everything shifts, and there's so much of your identity tied into work and putting going 110%,
why?
and then
But
oh, sorry,
why?
say that again?
No, I'm asking, but why?
Oh, I don't and that's a phenomenon that I don't know, I wish I knew, but, I think for me too, becoming a mom was hard because I was like I was such a go-getter at work, but then I had to reevaluate what that looked like because I needed my priorities had drastically shifted overnight and I had to really reevaluate what that looked like.
I can promise you, and I hope I don't know if she's listening right now, but these have been my wishes in my ass. When I die, my obituary will not say Forbes 30 under 30. My obituary will not say Inc. magazine influencer. My obituary will not say Business Insider top 30 marketing executives in the world. It will not say CEO. It will not say founder. It will not mention anything at all about what I've done professionally because it should not matter what I've done professionally. My obituary will be a hopefully uh, my tombstone will just say dad.
Oh, yeah.
I just think that it's so critically important that we remember that our title is like it's our relationships.
Mhm.
That's the title, right? And so like the second that we have this awakening, that the most important titles. I mean, when you introduced me, you said I can't remember the order, but
Well, no, I get it.
father,
You have it first and foremost in your bio. You have those
because I
titles.
don't care about any other title. I don't care about any other title.
Right.
Like and I think that they've we put together a bio about me so that people like care about maybe my thoughts matter. But I honestly should all be Control Alt Delete. I'm just another dad on Earth. I'm just another dad. I'm just another son. I'm just another father. But like those are the actual titles that I should be focusing on developing and being better at.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. And I think that all men and all women, or whatever you identify as, whether you're a mom or a dad or whatever, I think that like if we could somehow just try to give ourselves some grace and empathy that the title of CEO is a short lived title. The title of dad is going to be a really long one. Right. And that I should be doing everything in my power to ensure that Maple continues to succeed. But really, I should be mindful that the priority is to show up for my sons.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. And I think that those basic, it's so basic. It's just, it's hard to execute. It's hard to be disciplined.
It's hard to execute.
Yeah,
It's
sure
hard to
is,
execute,
isn't
but I
it?
think as long as we keep trying and we keep trying to move that needle in a certain way, that's all we can do. I mean, really, at the end of the day, we're all trying our best, and I think as long as you keep trying and keep
Absolutely.
executing that to the best of your ability, and sometimes every day is gonna look different. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna, but we're all just trying our best.
We're all just trying our absolute best. And I think that we all have to, it's a combination of, I think we have to try our best and, and it's a big it's a hard but at least for me, I'm sorry, let me see. We also have to remove our ego
Absolutely.
because like if I asked a 10-year-old right now or a 12-year-old right now or a 15-year-old right now, what is their favorite app on their phone? They probably are going to say like TikTok. And if I said, I'll give you $1,000 if you can tell me who the founder of TikTok is, they won't be able to answer.
Right.
But if I said, I'll give you $1,000 for you to tell me what your father has done for you, that would be a pretty amazing answer,
Yeah.
right?
Easy.
So there's nothing that we can create at a professional level that will be remembered.
Hmm.
There's only things that we can do for the people we love that will be everlasting.
Hmm.
And I think that this shift in thinking provides a tremendous amount of humility, but it also provides a tremendous amount of clarity. And that's just like how I'm trying to live my life. And the company that Maple is trying to build is to remind people that when you're using our software, we're trying to just quietly help you do your best work.
Yes, absolutely. And just trying to really make that so there's some equality there. And I wanted to ask you too, why is equality from your point of view, why is equality at home so important? You said before moms are almost always doing more work than dads. So,
Yeah.
what is it to you that makes it so that equality should be prioritized?
Well, I think equality should be prioritized, period. Like, I just think that home is one footprint that deserves a lot more attention.
Hmm.
You know, I had this conversation with my mom, who's, one of the most, top 5 most important people in my life. My mother reminded me the other day that she thought I was a feminist. And I said, I'm an equalist. I just believe that people deserve better. I don't know why. Well, first of all, I'd like to just firstly say that I've been the most inspired by my mother, my sister, and my wife, and the women in my life who are mothers. And I've just sat first row to how hard it is for them. And I
Yeah.
think if you deeply love somebody, um, you want to try to make their world better. I wish that my mom had Maple.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that when you are committed to being an equalist and you're wanting the world to be at a better place, why not make your mission in life for those people, the ones you love the most, the ones you see suppressed? And so I think that when you build more equal homes, happier homes, not only is your relationship and your marriage better, but your children are proud. Your children feel good.
Hmm.
Like I think that most people struggle watching their mother struggle. Like, why would we want to create that? My sons will never have to experience watching my wife do things alone,
Hmm.
like full stop,
Yeah.
right? And so I think just putting a higher light on building healthier generation of family is just such a unique opportunity that I feel
Yeah.
deeply passionate about.
And what have you noticed, I think, from other parents and families once they've started using Maple?
I think that's what's incredibly touching, Elizabeth, is like the volume of support or feedback, emails or comments. I remember when I was building my last company, it was very in person, and we used to have small business owners come and give various members of our team hugs because we were saving their company.
Yeah.
I do not want to sit here and try to say that we're saving marriages. That would be obnoxious and overly arrogant to think that Maple's playing that level of impact. But we certainly have had people share with us that for the first time ever, their spouses are participating more. For the first time ever, they're able to keep it together at home. For the first time ever, they feel at ease. We have a huge, which we oftentimes post about, ADHD parents who are our power users. It's our power community.
Yeah.
Um, who are just like Maple's keeping their life on the rails. So, we're a 3-year-old company. We're very, very early on in what will be a 100-year journey. It's very hard to measure our impact today. We like to say that we're a generational business because it's the next generation of people that will benefit from the work that we're doing, both
Yes.
as
Yes.
children and someday as parents.
Hmm.
And so I feel very confident that the impact that we have rightfully should be relatively unmeasurable. Making people's lives better is not a KPI you want to try to map. It's just a feeling that you have to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so I think if you ask anyone at Maple, I hope they feel very proud of the work that they're doing and the impact that we're having early on. That's for
Yeah, they
sure.
absolutely should be. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we have a hardworking team, and most of them are. We just hired a guy on our team, which I love this comment. Most of the people on our team are parents, but we just hired this guy, and he said, I'm not a parent, but I am a part of a family. And the truth is that like we're all in this shit together.
Absolutely. And no matter if you have kids or you don't, caregiving is going to hit you at some point, whether that's animals, whether that's
Unavoidable.
your parents, it's unavoidable.
Unavoidable.
And
It's
I think
unavoidable.
too, it's like creating companies and creating processes that create, care for that caregiver at every stage in their journey. Whether you have kids, whether you don't, you're going to need something at some point.
You're gonna need something at some point. I think that like, when I became a dad, I would be honest. I wish I can go back and tell the 20-year-old version of me to be kinder to people. I think being an entrepreneur and having your back against the wall, you don't always get to show up as the best version of yourself. Once I had children, I started to take on the mindset I'm treating everybody the way I'd want someone to treat my children, which is critical. And I think that there's actually another layer to that, which is like we have to start treating people the way we want to be treated at the end of our own life.
Hmm.
There's a lot of misstep and mishandling of an older generation of people, and we're going to be in those seats someday. We're going to be at the mercy of kindness someday. And I just am like, why not practice that right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Be kind.
It's not hard.
It's not hard. My wife and I always say, like, we want our children to have good work ethic. We want them to be authentic to who they are, be happy with who they are. But more importantly, more above anything else, we want them to be kind people.
Yes. I mean,
There's
it
a
makes
big world full of assholes, but there's not a lot of kind people out there, and it's time for some change.
no, and then yeah, when you meet someone, you're like, they were so nice.
I know. I
And
know.
sometimes it's like shocking. You're like, wow.
But like, why is that? Like, I think that like the
I
fact
know.
that that's the response is like sucks.
I know. I
You
know.
shouldn't be special. You should not be a special person because you're a
Because
nice
you were
person.
nice or
Like
empathetic or,
you,
kind to someone
you
at the
shouldn't be
airport
as
or, wherever. I know.
you're a superstar because you've done a nice thing. Is not a good place for us to be, right?
Let's
We need to
normalize.
we need to reset our baselines for sure.
Exactly. Well, and kind of on another note, what advice would you give to parents looking to find that balance of really managing busy lives and the workload that comes with, household, kids, a job, what have you?
It's hard. I mean, first I'm gonna say maybe I've already said this a few times, so I apologize. I think that I don't have a really great way of framing this, so just follow along with me for a second because it may not make a ton of sense. I was on an airplane the other day, and this older woman was trying to lift her bag, and I got up and I helped her. And it realized to me that like when people hit a certain age in life, we start showing them a lot more empathy. When people are dealing with they're handicapped or they're sick, we show them a lot of empathy, right? We lack empathy towards parents. We lack providing grace towards people who are trying to manage a 40-hour-a-week job, plus most people are working more than 40 hours a week, and trying to be a full-time caregiver to children, and in some cases, a full-time caregiver to their parents, right? So I think as a society, we need to do a better job of extending an olive branch, but as a household and as individuals, we need to be providing our partner with a lot of grace. It's
Mhm.
hard.
It's hard.
It is hard. It's crazy. So there's no silver bullet to this answer because it's a hard way to go.
Right.
I think that the thing is that as at the end of the day, I'm a working dad too. Like I'm a working dad, and so I'm trying to also manage a job and manage a household and take care of myself mentally and physically. I've honestly built a framework for myself that's been incredibly successful, and this is why I deleted Instagram. That's why I kind of removed myself from most things. Is that I have 3 buckets, which is this time investment helping my marriage or my kids? The answer is no. Then I ask the second prioritized bucket. Is this time investment helping Maple? Am I the only person in the company that can do this?
Hmm.
The answer is no. It goes to the next bucket. Is this helping me get physically, mentally, or emotionally stronger? If the answer is no, then I just don't ever touch it. And I think that the problem is that we as a society right now, this generation of parenting, and I do think that Instagram is a proponent of this, we're trying to do 50,000 things, right? We're trying to
50,000.
sign our kids up for 20 activities. Oh my God. I mean, I'm sure your kids, like summer camp is insane. Every parent's stressed out about summer camp. Like every parent is working. Every parent is trying to maintain a social life. Every parent is trying to like, in this era, eat healthy, work out. Like,
Yes.
we're trying to do so many things that like what we're doing is we're just grinding ourselves into exhaustion or deprioritizing the things that are our safety net, which aren't really actually safety nets. deprioritizing their marriage, deprioritizing things that they feel are stops. And so, like, from what I would suggest to anyone who's listening to this, and I'm just a work in progress as well, is like, just make your life easy. Work hard to simplify your life. Work
Yeah.
hard to just create a couple priorities and don't drop those balls. Don't drop those priorities. Let everything else be okay with letting everything else fall at the wayside, you know? And it's
Yes.
just actually like technology, even Maple, it will allow for you to manage more things, but it can't help you just set your
No,
own
you have to do
personal
that.
priorities. You
Yeah.
have to do that lift. And I think that if people really just dialed back, everyone should do the exercise with their spouse. What are the top 3 things that matter in our life?
Mhm.
And what if you, for 30 days, said no to anything that was not in those top 3 things? What would that do?
I bet it cut a lot of things out.
I think that people would be substantially happier,
Yeah.
right? Is that, like, if they at least had a decision-making framework in place about, like, where does this fit in the value chain of my life?
Yeah, or our family value system, then you
That's
can make
it.
definitive priorities instead of being like, "Well, we should probably go to this birthday party." And then, and like
Yeah.
you become so inundated with choices, as you said, like we're doing 500 things at one time.
But every parent is. Like, every
Yeah.
parent I talk to thousands of parents every year. They're just like, "I'm exhausted."
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
like,
like just
I
trying to
yeah,
text a friend back, and that's,
yeah, yeah. It's
mhm.
exhausting, but how many things are you doing? And then you sit down and you go through the list, and you're like, I mean, I'm not an auditor. I'm not gonna audit your life, but if I had to give one piece of feedback, I bet you that list could get cut in half,
Yeah.
because I think half those things don't really matter.
No, I remember a therapist told me about one. She was like, "You need to write all your to-dos down and you need to cross them. Like, if this doesn't matter, cross it out." And I remember being like, even just writing that list makes me tired.
I mean, another flip side of that exercise, which is like, and again, maybe people don't like this, is like, I do deeply believe in servitude, right? And so there's really only 3 buckets that I'm trying to serve, which is like my family,
Mhm.
my community. I have chosen, I've elected to not serve my local community, but to serve my community, which is parents, and
Mhm.
focus my energy on Maple. And then servitude to myself, to my body that my spirit is borrowing, and to try to be the best version of myself. And like those 3 boxes of who I've committed my life to make it incredibly easy to say no to a lot of things.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think my next question was really on this line of like, you've said before that raising kids is the most important thing that you can do and will do. Um,
Correct.
and how do you create balance in your life as a CEO and founder and as an active parent? But I mean, and I'm sure you might have more, but you did really talk about that. And I think dividing into those buckets is truly key. Um,
It,
but
it's the
to
bucket framework, really.
yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
and understanding that at some times some things need to be over invested in. There's been chapters where Maple hasn't been doing particularly well, and I've had to roll up my sleeves and
Mhm.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I rarely ever sacrifice for my children, but that means that I'm not going to the gym, or I'm not working on
Yes.
myself as much as I would like. I'm not reading that book. I'm not working on emotional development. And that's okay. There's been really dark periods where, like, I was not in a good place,
Yeah.
but like I put my head down and I knew that I would reinvest in myself and swing the pendulum back
Yes.
when I had the breath to do so.
Yes.
um, I think where people find themselves in dark places and not be able to establish that balance is that, like, they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel because it feels like this moment is going on forever, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And for me, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to give myself 90 days to only focus on my kids and this company. I'll revisit myself in 90 days, and at least give myself 90 days to just be heads down, right? And
And
so that's how I think I've established balance, is that, like, A, I'm only trying to balance 3 things, not 50. And then B, I'm willing to borrow time from some of those buckets.
yes, because it ebbs and flows. Life truly like ebbs and flows. And it's just one of those things. And I think if you remind yourself this is truly a season.
It's a
And I think with
season.
parenting, I remind myself of that a lot. When you have a young baby, when you're in the newborn phase, when you have like a 2-year-old, I think there's just all these little seasons of parenting. And then I also have to remind myself in terms of life, like this is a season of life. And this just might not be the season where I get to do everything that I want to do or everything that needs to get done. Some things just have to go to the wayside.
Or like another way of looking at it is like in this season of life, we were talking about this a second ago. So sorry to kind of backtrack from an earlier conversation you and I had. My kids are only in this season of life for a little bit longer,
Yes. Yes.
and so like in terms of like what do I value, it's capturing the most amount of this time, right? I'm working very hard. By the way, I'm no angel. I'm working very hard on being present, trying to be less stressed out at home. I am trying. We all are.
Yeah.
I think the hardest reality that I have is that I know if I had a chance to talk to 85-year-old me or 90-year-old me, the likelihood is that they're going to be giving me like advice that like I didn't try hard enough. I should have been way more present. I will probably crawl over glass to get back to this chapter of life, this season of life, to have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old son who still want me to get on the ground and play Hot Wheels with them. Like that chapter is closing soon. So the other opportunities, like building a business, doing things, building social circles, all that, those
Yes.
opportunities are evergreen. They're there forever. They're always going to be there until the end of your life.
Yes.
Having small children, that has been the fastest use of time I've ever experienced.
Yeah, but I would have to say it's like fast and slow at this, it's like the days are long,
Yeah,
but they're short. I
the
mean,
days are long, but the days are short.
yeah, I'm like, and I think that's the thing. And there's so many times when they're like, you're gonna miss this. And I do, and I wholeheartedly agree that I'm sure we're gonna miss these, little moments, but they're also so much of parenting to look forward to.
Oh yeah.
And so I think I'm excited for that too. And also just, your kids get bigger and like, bigger kids, different issues. Which we will have to have. Maybe we'll just do a part 2 and then we can talk about this, 5 years down.
Bring it back in 10 years when I got going on 16-year-old driving a car. I'm sure my answers might be very different, but as of right now today.
Yeah, I think they'll be using Maple too.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, of course they will be.
Well, let's jump into the Q&A because I know we have a few questions from the community. Lauren asks, what does a typical day look like at home in terms of how you and your wife split the load? This is a great question.
It is a great question. There's some things that I think we partner on really, really well. And then there's some things that we have like overall ownership on. Because I'm gone throughout the day, I absolutely always 100% of the time try to take over bath time. And that's a special moment between me and my sons that I will cherish forever. And my wife does a lot of the lifting on taking them to school and picking them up. I've tried my best to take them to school. So we share on things. I think that the way that my wife and I have always approached this is just having a fluidity of no one should really own any one particular thing and everyone should roll up their sleeves and participate. And that way we don't really box ourselves in. We both cook. She's likely cooking more Monday through Friday. Actually, if I'm having a really tough week at work, I like to cook because I think that's a stress reliever for me.
Yep.
I cook most weekends to make up for the fact that I haven't cooked throughout the week. We both load the dishwasher. We both clean the table. We both put toys away. She probably would throw a stone at me if I said we both make beds because I'm not particularly great at that. But I think we've always tried to approach our investments, our work at home, showing up for our kids, showing up for our family. I think we've tried to do it from a 50-50 split because that's what's best for our partnership to be healthy.
Yeah.
There's no typical day when you have a 2 and a 5-year-old in a company. It's a shit show every day, and you just do your best to link arms.
Every day is different.
Yeah, you link arms and you do your best to survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you try your best every day.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Another question. Thank you, Lauren. It's hard to have these conversations at home, splitting the load. 100% agree. Sometimes people can take things really personally and they get defensive. How can Maple help families through these hard conversations?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I think communication is an incredible superpower.
Yes.
Right? It's a skill set. Not everyone's going to have it. I find that people make very terrible decisions when they have a conversation or try to unpackage things in an extremely heated moment.
Mm-hmm.
That to me, I feel like is mistake one. The nice thing about Maple is you can kind of step away and use our messaging tools and have a little bit of an asynchronous conversation. And the one thing that I've always liked to say is in moments of disagreement, that's when you go from coupled to uncoupled. It's you versus you.
Mm-hmm.
It's you versus me. And I think that the one thing that my wife and I have always done well, and we use Maple in this way, is we've always done a check-in on like, what do we need to be doing better for our household? Because we own this company together. So what do we need to be doing better? And that really kind of turns down the heat on, hey, you're doing X, Y, and Z things wrong, or I'm doing X, Y, and Z things wrong. And it puts the ownership back on the team. So I think Maple A, creating structure on like what's going on inside of your home and using that as a data-driven anchor around a conversation always helps. And then B, sometimes you need to step away and just send a message and say, hey, as you can see on this to-do list or on this calendar, we have a lot going on. I would love some support and some help. We would benefit from that. We would benefit from that.
Yeah.
And that to me, I feel like is a significant game changer.
Yeah, and I like what you said about we, because it's reminding you and your co-founder that you're a team and that
We're a
you
team.
are truly in this together.
If my wife is doing poorly or I'm doing bad, we are both doing bad,
Right.
right?
Yes.
When I'm dealing with mental health issues, which is not uncommon for a founder, I'm very communicative with my wife about that because I understand that my anxiety disorder affects our relationship.
Yeah. Mhm.
It affects our children, right? I can't get through that on my own. And I think that if we treated, if we were just more honest about that,
Yeah.
like I have no shame in the fact that I have an anxiety disorder. But I also have no shame in acknowledging that even after dealing with this for almost 20 years, I still can't take it on by my own,
No. Hmm.
right? If my wife is struggling with workload or struggling with things at home, I don't expect for her to take it on her own, right? Because that negatively impacts the both of us.
Yes.
And so, whether it's mental health or physical labor or planning or whatever it is, it's always about us, not about one of us.
And I think that's such a good thing to keep at the forefront of your mind because as we navigate our days as, solo people, you go off to work or you're doing, you're not sometimes you're not working cohesively as a unit all day long. And so I think when you come together at the end of the day, no matter where you've been, it's like understanding that you are a we.
You're a
And
we. I mean, it's so crazy that like on a 9 to 5 level, you can be on Slack, and you could be asynchronously a part of your job, and that's your teammate at work.
yeah.
Well, why can't you just asynchronously be on Maple, and that's your teammate in life?
Hmm. Yes.
It's all the time. Some jobs are 9 to 5, some jobs are forever. Raising children is a forever job. I spoke to my mother today. I'm almost 40 years of age. She reminded me, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother. Like she's still coaching me.
Yeah.
That is a forever job, right? And so like
Forever
my
job.
wife, my wife and I are going to be forever co-founders on our sons.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well,
That's what my obituary would say, by the way.
what?
Co-founder to Alex. That's what my obituary should say, by the way. Co-founder to Alex Perry, proud parents of Leander and Solomon. That's all it needs to say.
Yeah. Well, you figured it out then. You need to write that down.
That sounds like I can pre-write it for
Yeah,
myself.
you
Right?
need to you need to pre-write
60 years from now.
Yeah. Um, okay, I saw no, oh, yes, okay. This is a great question. I just downloaded Maple. What's the best way for me to get started without getting overwhelmed?
That's a great question. And the problem that we are constantly trying to get better at, we understand that switching costs into a new product are always very high, especially when you offer 9 different tools for people to get started. We have a ton of YouTube tutorials and a ton of information. I always like to get started by just putting things into my calendar and start getting my family calendar organized because
Mhm.
a calendar is a great source of truth. But I'm also available, Michael@growmaple.com, and happy to sit down and personally help you, walk you through it, and get you started.
And I was able to watch that Maple one-on-one video, which was so helpful.
Yeah, we have a one-on-one. There's a Maple
Yeah.
101 folder, and there's a ton of information in there to give a bit of a playbook for getting started. The hard thing about building technology for homes, Elizabeth, is that there's 120 million of them in America alone. And everyone has their own separate needs and their own separate belief on what's best for their family. We've tried to do our best to get people enterprise level technology with the right level of flexibility to take
Mhm.
care of their family.
I love it. Well, and you think about too, when you switch jobs, you have a whole new suite of technology. You have to figure it out. So you can do
That's
it.
it. You can do it. You'll be happy that you did. That is for sure.
Yes, you'll be happy that you did. Well, and I guess what's next at Maple?
Well, for us, we're obviously at a company level trying to grow a ton and help as many parents as we can. Our mission is always to help as many parents as we can. This summer, from a product perspective, we just had our first town hall. We got a lot of great feedback, brought people up to speed. We're going to have another town hall in the fall, going back to school. But our focus is really around calendaring from a product perspective. We are going to have the best family calendar available in the world. I feel very confident in that statement based on what we're working on. And it's just to continue to try to build cutting edge technology to bend the curve and make life just 1% easier every week. That's literally the goal. If we can be 1% better every single week for parents, then we should feel very fulfilled about the work that we're doing.
You absolutely should, because every 1% truly adds up.
It adds up,
Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today. You've inspired me. I know you've inspired our community, given us so many things to think about, in terms of how we navigate work, how we navigate at home. And a reminder again to download Maple. We'll put the details in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been just an absolute honor.
Good. Same here. I have loved talking to you. And to everyone who's joined us today, thank you so much. I hope you've learned something to take away on your journey and beyond. And we'll see you at the next one. We have a masterclass on June 20th around the power of allyship with our friends at PowerSchool. So I hope you'll join us. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.